We're live. Hello. Good morning if you are in the US. Good afternoon if you're in Europe. Good evening if you're in Asia. All over the world. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you don't know me, I'm Ankhara Rose, and this is the fabulous Katy Davies. And Tracy's here. Hello, Tracy. Good
Must be
morning.
working. Someone's here.
Hooray, hooray. So this is our first time doing this monthly call that we started in February. No, we
hmm
started in this is our third. Yeah, so we started in February.
Yeah.
Hello, Tracy. Hi, Lois. So this is the third one that we've done, but the first one we're doing here on Substack Live, and we're really excited to bring this call here and to share this information with you here because we love Substack. I love Substack. I'm recruiting people like Katy over. It's like, come on over, Katy.
We
We
did.
exactly. Happy April to everyone. There's no fools here. I mean, sometimes, but we're not doing an April Fool's thing. But it is April 1st. And yeah, we're going to dive into the transits of this month. And so if you're new to these calls, what we do is I'll throw some slides up and we're going to talk through the key codes, AKA the human design gates, right? Same numbers, but through the success codex lens, we have a slightly different interpretation. And we're going to go through the transits, the sun transits to be specific, right? So the sun travels around the map of, the human design map, whatever you want to call it, the astrological wheel. And as the sun moves, it activates a different gate or key code. So when that sun has activated that key code, we have access to its energy, and the whole collective does. If we can understand how that key code works and we can begin to leverage it in our business and in our life, we are moving with the current of energy as opposed to against it or despite it. And so that's the idea. It's creating more ease by calibrating to the transits.
Last month, my clients, they really started noticing some of the themes coming through. I think there was acceptance, wasn't there, last month?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it was really, they kind of really noticed. They were just like more accepting of how everything was going to be. And so I think when you do start to know it and you start to work with it, you start to notice it more and you recognize it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like these things are happening in the background all the time, but if we're not paying attention to it, we probably don't notice it. It is still influencing us, though. So, okay. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to begin to dive in. So, depending on what you are, right? Hold on. Okay. I think we got it. All right. Can you see that?
I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. It's right in my way. So I'm going to make us super small and we shall dive through. Okay. So, Katy, I can't see you. So you're just going to have to be loud and interrupt me.
Okay.
Yay. All right. So, what I like to do in the beginning is just kind of look at all of the key codes that are coming up and kind of name a little bit of the theme that's happening, right? So for April, and so we're still kind of, the key codes overlap month to month. So we're still at the end of March's key codes. So the first April transit technically happens in 3 days on April 4th. And that is key code 51, which is breakthrough. So I'm going to read these words and you see if you can kind of feel into the theme. Okay. So we're going to start with breakthrough, this energy of like initiation that sparks our own evolution. Then we're moving into process, the journeyer. This is all about being present with the journey. Then we're moving into innovation, where we are co-creating with what life gives us. And we move into service, where we are giving generously, where we're following our own impulse to serve. And then finally, we move into ingenuity, which is really the brilliance that comes when we stop searching for answers. It's what arises from a quiet mind. So, can you feel into the theme? Like anything coming up for you, Katy, around that?
Um, I was actually thinking I would love a breakthrough. When you said the last one, this kind of like clear-minded, just ruminating. I know this energy isn't present yet, but it's kind of, you can see the theme in such as, the process, the journey. We're not
Mhm.
overthinking, and then
Mhm.
we're being playful, and we are like co-creating, and then that end one just like clear-minded. Like, I think that's the bit I will have the trouble with my undefined head torch now. But that's probably the one where I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to that one coming through.
And I love, just even here, it's different when I'm reading it than when listening to you kind of talk through it. And yeah, it's like there's this kind of momentum that's happening kind of for these first few, and we're building momentum, and we're creating, we're serving. And then yeah, it makes this shift into this like ingenuity. It's not passive, but it comes from a passive mind, right? So we'll talk about that. And yeah, I love this idea of breakthrough into, from being the initiate into being the genius, if we're looking at those archetypes. And I get a lot of like momentum, right? We're in Aries season if you're into astrology, right? So Aries season kind of, kind of ends at key code 3, and we move on to the next season at key code 27. So we can look at them from an astrological perspective as well. And Aries is, it's active. It's a fire sign. So you'll feel a little bit certainly of this movement and this momentum here, right? That's happening here. And then we move into Taurus, which has a very different energy. Okay, so let's dive in, and we'll start with key code 51. So key code 51, breakthrough. The archetype is the initiate. When you're in alignment with it, you'll be evolving through the challenges that life gives you, and these little opportunities to grow. And when you're out of alignment, you're going to notice that you're in a lot of reactivity. You'll just be reacting. So my key to success, here's kind of the phrase on top, is growing through, not despite challenges. So the guiding question from April 4th to April 9th that we can ask ourselves is, what is this challenge, whatever the challenge is, what's it asking me to see and to be? Right? So when we get a challenge, we can think of it from a victim perspective, right? We're like, oh, this is happening to me. I have no control. Why does this always happen to me? And yeah, human beings, we feel that way sometimes. That's okay. But what we want to do is see if we can consciously shift into a more empowered perspective, which is, this challenge isn't happening randomly, even if it feels random. It's asking me to step into something. It's asking me to be someone, to step into certain parts of my life, my personality, my capabilities. Maybe it's even just asking me to reflect on something or slow down. But when we're looking at it from that perspective, that's when we really have the breakthrough. The challenge can break us, or it can give us a breakthrough. So we want to step into the breakthrough instead of the breaking us energy, right? So we activate success by embracing the greater purpose of the challenges that we face. And we block success by letting these challenges overthrow us, or by resisting the growth they invite, right? So it's a little bit of like, yeah, just like kind of what Katy was saying in the beginning about, her clients. It's like, now that they started to actually notice the transits, they're like, wow, I see it, and I can like do something with this. So we're being asked this upcoming week, really, and a little bit past it, is we're being asked to actively look for the gift in the challenge, and then we'll be able to receive it.
Yeah, I also think like one of the things that when I was looking at the codex as a whole from the beginning, the circles on the first slide you have the unaligned queue. Obviously, if you are new to this, or this is a gate that you don't have normally, or an energy that you're not normally working with, you can start with the unaligned queue.
Mhm.
And so for this one, like lashing out when faced with disruption, you can start to again create awareness and go, oh, am I doing that this week? Like, okay. So sometimes some people start with the unaligned before they
Mhm.
can move into the aligned as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really great point. So just out of the words, right? We've got the four words here. Where she's talking about this word on the bottom, right? So for 51, it's reactive. I'll make sure to point those out as we go through because
Yeah.
sometimes it's just the most obvious place to begin to work with a key code is actually how to tell when we're not aligned with it. And then we can kind of see the magic of it in a different way. So let's talk about how might you apply key code 51 during its transit. So, my thought is start embracing your growth. And this is a little bit of what I've already said, right? But your current challenges are shaping your leadership, they're shaping your wisdom, they're shaping your power. So, can you begin to shift that perspective to appreciate these challenges? So, what that might look like is, maybe it's a list. Like you just keep a list next to your computer every day. And what I'm learning today is, right? What my challenges today taught me are, right? Or is what my challenges taught me, right? Depending on how many things it is, right? You just make a little list and start to take stock and start to, again, in the beginning, if you're not used to finding the gift in your challenges, you're building a muscle to be able to do that because most people are identified with the pain and the challenge, not the gift they get from it. So if you're new to that, just make a gentle list. It's like, well, like let's say, I'm trying to think of something crappy that happens. Let's say you have a client and your client asks for a refund, right? And all the feelings that come up. No, they wanted a refund. I'm not good enough. They don't like what I do. So yeah, you could choose that perspective, or you can choose the perspective of it's really important to me that the people who I serve are deeply aligned with what I do, and I can be myself there. So actually, this just gave me the gift of more alignment in my program because now someone who's not in alignment is gone, right? That's like a little, you can, I'm sure, obviously, right? Like you can feel that perspective shift there.
I think it's a really good idea to, like you said, a suggestion to write it all down because often again we're not so great at seeing it in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
We're sometimes better at realizing later. So this energy, I suppose, is actually helping us to work through it while it's activated in the moment. But even if we kind of write it down, we can look back and go, "Oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I, I see now."
Great point, right? For most of us in the moment, we have our human feelings and we're just like, this sucks, right? But yeah, in retrospect, and that's fine. You don't have to be like this super crazy evolved person who never experiences the discomfort of challenges, right? The idea is just building the muscle so that after you have your human feelings, which are normal and healthy and good to have, you can turn it into medicine instead of turning into something that you're going to now weaponize against yourself.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. April 10th to the 15th, we are moving into key code 42, which is process. It's the genius of process. So the archetype is the journeyer, the one who's moving through the process. When you are aligned with this key code, you're going to be unattached, but I want to be clear about this. It's not a cold detachment. Okay, what we're really talking about is I'm going to accomplish something. I'm going to move towards something. This journey has an end point, but I'm not choke holding that end point. Like I know that I'll get there, but I'm not being so rigid with it that one, if I get to the end and it doesn't look like that, I feel like something's wrong. And two, I don't want to miss the journey. The journey is the best part, right? So unattached is the alignment cue, and overattached, that clinging, that choke holding, that's the out of alignment cue. So this is really big about being present with yourself and appreciating the journey that you're on, right? So my key to success is detaching from the outcome and honoring the process, or my process of growth. And the guiding question is, how would I proceed if I had no attachment to the outcome? So let's make a tangible example. Let's say, you want to make more money in your business, and you're clinging to the number that the internet has given you as this golden number, $10,000 months, right? Think of how different you're going to feel when you reach the end of the month if you've made $9,000 versus $10,000. If you're tight with $10,000, it's going to change the whole feel for you, right? And similarly, it's like the whole process of making money and being so fixated on a goal. Like, I've done this in the past. Maybe you have too, Katy, and probably whoever's watching has experienced this in some way, shape, or form as well. But like, we forget to enjoy the journey because we get so fixated on that end point, right? And then what's the point? All right, we got some money, but what was the cost? Like, when we are not present with the journey, that's where we end up kind of ignoring our body signals, compromising our values, right? So it is really important that we're present with ourselves during the process. So we activate success by holding things lightly and seeing things through to the end. This is a key code about finishing things, right? And we block success by attaching to outcomes and abandoning the process before it's complete. Any thoughts on this, Katy? Not to put you on the spot.
I have all the thoughts all the time. I think for this one, I don't know if it quite fits, but I did a post recently around, like when we're doing a launch or we are selling something, and we, like you said, we have a fixed figure or numbers of, how many people we want in the program, or how many people we want, or even just looking at our Facebook post or our social media post thinking, oh, only one person's liked it. That must mean it's wrong. And then we can, like the part where you said we're kind of fixated on things looking or going a certain way, is the unaligned. And so what we can do is, like you said, we don't finish the process before it's complete, because we go, well, not normally 10 people like my post, only one person like my post, so it must mean it's wrong. I'll change it and do it. And so it's kind of that having a bit of trust, I suppose, is a big piece with this, isn't it? Like trusting the process as much as anything else, like trusting the process that, it's really hard to do. I think when you just say, oh, don't be so attached. It is like the other one you said, it's a muscle that we're building.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It is hard to be detached, especially when we really care about the outcome, right? And like, let's be real. It's very easy to detach from how much money you make or how many clients you get. It's easy to detach from that when you have plenty of money and plenty of clients. When you're struggling to make the money and you're struggling to get the clients, it puts this extra pressure and we can get more attached. And so, yeah, we just have to notice it. We have to notice how, we're using that, whatever that benchmark is, as a mark to whether we're good enough, whether we are right and whether we are wrong. And I want to say one more thing to this. Like, how many times have you launched a program and like you get a few trickles in the beginning, then nobody signs up, and then right at the end 10 people join? Well, I used to stop during that middle period. I used to abandon cart, refund people, say never mind, stop promoting, right? Because I wasn't able to kind of, as my dear friend Lois, who's here, says, I wasn't able to hold the tension of this program is coming, but nobody's joining, and it was too much for me. And I'd end up just kind of stopping promoting, right? This is a really powerful key code if you have that process, right? If you're not so fabulous at seeing things through to the end, this is a really beautiful key code to work with. And it teaches you how to do it, which is by enjoying the process.
Yeah.
Right. And
I
even,
think
yeah, let me just say
I
one more
think
thing, like similar to breakthrough in the last one, where it's like we make meaning out of everything that happens, right? So if I'm making meaning in the last one about like, oh, this challenge means something about me, well, it's going to make it harder for me to stay. And it's the same thing here. It's like, find the gift, find the medicine, tap into what is this part of my journey teaching me about myself and asking me to step into. It's another kind of personal growth angle.
yeah. I think with the unattached and the over attached, it's the attachment itself that literally changes the process.
Yeah.
So, but by like it would have all gone fine, but because you are too attached, you are literally influencing and changing your own behavior, which therefore changes the outcome.
Yep.
And I know you talked a lot when we were doing the success codex stuff about the holding lightly and holding tightly.
Mm-hmm.
And I've used this analogy before about the kite, flying a kite.
Mm.
But the beauty of the kite in the wind is obviously the journey the kite goes, and you're still
Mm.
holding the string. But if you hold too tightly and you're determined you want it to go over there, it's not going to do the thing it's supposed to do, and you're going to miss the magic. So
Yeah.
whenever you mention the holding lightly and holding tightly, it always brings up that image of a kite. Yes, we're controlling it so it doesn't crash into a tree, but we are still letting it do its thing.
I love that analogy, though I've never successfully flown a kite, I have to admit. But I but I love
Just
but I
imagine.
get it. But I get it visually. The many things I don't know how to ride a bike. I don't know how to fly a kite. I don't know. My childhood was deprived. I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's talk about like this is just one way to start to apply this during the week, right? So again, when we're talking about how to apply it, we want to apply it during that week, right? So April 10th to April 15th, right? So get present with where you are now on your journey. Right? I want you to think about this. Whatever goal you have right now is part of your story of how you got there. Right now, this is part of the arc. I have another publication besides this Substack that, at least for now, is called You're Already Doing It. And that was the whole intention of calling it that. It was my own realization of how many times I've kind of beat myself up about where I am on my journey. But this is what growth looks like. This is what success looks like. This is the journey of becoming successful. And it doesn't matter how much money you're making right now. It doesn't matter how many clients you have right now. This is part of that whole journey. It's not separate. So get present with where you are now. Reflect on how far you've come. Like, really, look back probably 6 months, but if you're pretty much the same 6 months, look back a year, look back 5 years, right? And you can look at different benchmarks. Maybe you're looking at how much money you make now versus then, but maybe you're looking at how much healthier of a person you are, or how much more fulfillment you have, or how many the different quality of your friendships. Like, look at how far you've come. Then reconnect to where you're going and celebrate where you are right now as an essential step. So you might even do this on a piece of paper. I don't know, we're doing lots of piece of paper activities today, right? On the left side of the paper, where you were, on the right side of the paper, where I'm going, and in the center, where I am now. And just keep it as this reminder that, you're always evolving. This is always part of the process. And then, of course, remember that as soon as you get to that right side of the paper and you hit your goal, you're really back at the left side of the paper again, right? Our journey of evolution never stops.
Yeah, we're never done. That was something I've had to learn, because I think, again, like, we can be conditioned to feel like we're going to get to the end. Like, Why
Yeah,
not? It
I know.
doesn't work like that. The journey continues on. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great though if there was a if there was an end point?
I feel like that with my website. Like every time I redo my website, I stupidly think that's it now. Like I'm done.
As
I
if.
did that, and then next week, oh,
New
so now
idea, new program. I just want to read this comment. Ruth said, I have 53 conscious. So if you are if you are aware of human design, um, each one of these key codes kind of has a partner on the human design map that when they're both activated, it creates a channel. So for Ruth, she said, I have 53 conscious, which makes a channel, and that will help me really dig into my new programming, which is amazing. And I'm actually going to probably come on and do a little bit of a more thorough training about how to work with these transits. Like I'll
yeah.
show some things on the screen. And we did that. I think it's up on YouTube somewhere. So I can maybe link to that as well. But that is a really powerful way to work with these transits, is to look at what's it activating in my own personal chart, right? So maybe you don't have 42 in your chart. Maybe you don't have it in your success codex. You don't have it in your gene keys. You don't have it in your human design. But if you have 53, now you have access to the whole energy of the channel, right? Because when they combine, that channel itself, right, that combination also brings its own unique energy that you have access to. Okay, let's move on.
Looking
The
at my
interactive.
chart,
Oh, you've got your chart?
I'm just like, oh yeah.
You're like, oh wait, yeah. So, and actually, so what you're looking for in your own chart, right? So if for 51, let me just go back here, right? So 51,
25,
yeah, 25.
25.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So 51 is in the will center, and 25, I'm guessing, is in the G center, I
yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah.
So if you have 25 but not 51, boom, you got a channel. If you have 53 and not 42, boom, you got a channel. If you have 60 and not 3, boom, you've got a channel. If you got 50 and not 27, boom, you got a channel. And then 61 if you don't have 24, right? So again, I will describe this in an actual I'll do a little training on that at some point. Oops, did I just skip it? Okay, perfect. Let's keep going though. So April 16th to the 21st is Kiko 3, which is the genius of innovation. It's the archetype of the co-creator, not just the creator, but the co-creator. When you are in alignment, that co-creative energy will feel nice and playful. And when you are out of alignment, you will be resisting innovation and resisting change. So this key code is all about lifes. Things happen. Are you working with it, or are you resisting against it? Right? So my key to success is co-creating and innovating with the circumstances, right? Which could be environmental, it could be people, it could be constraints, could be gifts, whatever those circumstances are, with the circumstances I'm given, right? And so the guiding question is really simple. How can I create with or from this? I'm really feeling this theme, like a challenge comes up, like pulling it through from all of these key codes. A challenge comes up. What are you going to do about it? You're going to stomp off and be angry? You're going to refuse to change? Or how can you work with it, right? Because that's what innovation really is. To innovate is to take something that exists and to make it better, to change it, to reshape it. So it's almost like you're not it's almost like, you've got it's not just a blank lump of clay you're working with. It's some sort of a sculpture, but it's still wet. What else can you make out of that? Right? And I'm also thinking, if you've ever played this game as a kid, which we used to love to play, where you've got a few people or even just two people, and one person makes a squiggle on the piece of paper and passes it to the next person. And then they add to it, and then they pass it back. And then you add to it again, and you pass it back and forth until at the end you have a full picture. Now, my one squiggle line, I never would have known that was going to be a witch on a broom, but that's what evolved through this co-creative process. And that's what we're doing with life during, all the time, hopefully, but especially during this transit, we really have the access and the capacity to do that. But remember, when the transit comes up, we don't just have access to the gift. The out of alignment cue can also be active for us. So notice if you feel resistance during this week. And if you do, go play, go do something fun, go do something creative, get out of your own way, let it go. That would be my tip. But let's talk about these. Activate success by playing and creating with what you've been given, and you're blocking success by trying to control life and fighting change.
All right, I've had to do a lot of work on this one. I can easily fall into the digging my heels in against change. So yeah, I feel that. I feel that. I've had to work quite hard on that one, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so many reasons why we resist change. Like, one is it's different, right? So subconsciously, of course, we're going to be like, I don't know what's going to happen if I follow that. Maybe that's going to be good. Maybe it's going to be bad. I just, the fear of the unknown. It could also be something like, if you put a lot of time into something and life is asking you to then change it, you're like, oh, but I wasted all that time, those resources, right? So yeah, things come up, right? So let's look at how to apply it, right? So I love this if you've ever done improv, I've done improv, like taken a few classes with my husband over the past few years, and it's literally based on co-creation and this concept of yes and, right? So I want to just introduce it if you're not familiar with yes and. If someone gives an idea and I say no, conversation's done. If someone gives an idea and I say, yeah, but, I've now put a roadblock in the conversation. If someone presents an idea and I say, yes, and, I'm accepting what I've been given, right? And I'm able to create with it, right? Probably at the end of this process, just like that picture drawing process I explained, you're going to get something different at the end. So there's also a lack of attachment here as well, this playfulness, right? But practice yes and with whatever comes up in your business, good or bad, right? And the idea behind it is let's build on whatever you're given, right? And so I gave an example. Imagine you lose your Facebook access, switch to Substack. Right? Or like maybe like this, I mean, this is like not quite innovation, but this happened last month for us. We tried to go live in the Facebook group and we were like, well, it's not working. What are we going to do? Are we going to not go live? No. Okay, guys, we're moving to Zoom. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
We moved to Zoom, right? So it's like working with the constraints, but also it can be something great that happens. We do resist great things too, unfortunately. It's also part of the process.
Yeah, I feel like these, in order, if you can hold the lesson of the previous one, it can help you with the next one. Like the order very much does. The order itself is like a sort of process helping you to move through all of these. And if you can hold it all the way through, we're going to get to that fabulousness at the end.
Exactly.
Not the end.
Exactly. The end. But that's exactly it, right? Like it is a journey. What are you going to think? Like, okay, the sun is traveling around this circle and it's hitting these points in order. Why? I don't know. Ask Ra why he put them in this order. I don't know. But there is wisdom certainly around like the astrological order before human design or Gene Keys or Success Codex was created. Right. And I'm sure there might be people watching right now who understand the order more clearly. But everything has its process, right? And we have to move through these different parts in order to really come to our own fruition and really be able to thrive. So yes, I'm sure that everyone's feeling how these are building on each other. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. April 21st to the 26th. This is service, right? And a lot of us entrepreneurs, we love this one, but it's not without its challenges, right? So service, the archetype is the altruist, right? Look at that person. I'm like, I just want to give because I have a desire to do good, to give, to serve, right? And in alignment, you are tapped into a generosity, right? The out of alignment piece, and this is what we're going to be nice and aware of during the week of or those days of April 21st to the 26th, is being transactional, giving to get. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying that we're not supposed to get when we give, right? There's a concept that I call sacred reciprocity. When I'm really giving from a pure part of myself, when I'm really giving value, it always comes back, usually tenfold, but it always comes back. I'm not talking about that. Absolutely. You offer a program, you're going to get back from it. Yes, you should be paid for the work that you do if you're bringing value to people. Not in every offer, but generally, yes. It's when, well, I'm going to offer this because I want this from you. And I find that you can see this one play out in personal relationships a lot, right? And maybe you are transactional, or maybe you know somebody who's transactional. They're only doing you a favor because they want you to owe them, right? It's like that. So the beauty of this key code is you truly know how to serve the needs of yourself and others. The danger is when it becomes like when you're not doing that out of a place of like just genuine desire to serve, when you're doing it just because you want to get something back. And it is a trap that we fall into as entrepreneurs, again, especially when we're not making the money we need. Hey, you got to pay rent. There's a pressure to make money. But are you just offering this service just so you can make money? Sometimes maybe, but ideally you're offering a service because you really genuinely want to serve through that, right? So your question that you're going to ask yourself during this transit is, how can I best serve here, right? Or maybe even like, how do I want to serve here? How do I feel called to serve here? And you're going to activate success by balancing service to others with honoring your own needs, because it can absolutely get out of balance, right? And I think that that's kind of sometimes what triggers the transactional part is if you're not serving your own needs, you're going to look for others to serve those needs for you, whether it's a romantic partner or your kids or your clients or even your business as a whole. So we have to be feeding ourselves and be of service to ourselves. You block success by giving only to get something back.
Yeah, I think all of these, obviously, we're working with energies, but I think this is something that's definitely felt. So people can feel whether you are genuinely kind of giving or kind of wanting to serve from this place of love, rather than, well, I know if I do this and this offer will make me money because I said, like, people can feel it.
Yeah.
They can genuinely feel. And then once when it's, not in alignment, that's when everything starts getting all twitchy and touchy and it goes a bit wrong, because I think people can really feel this one when it's out of alignment.
Yeah, I think so too, right? And she's talking about the people who you're serving, right? Like it's kind of like how people can sense desperation. They can sense that as well. And we've all felt it, right? We've all seen that Facebook ad or that Meta ad, and you're like, ugh, like you just know that person there's something like off behind it. It doesn't feel genuine. So, yeah. So,
And
yeah.
I think when you don't meet your own needs, like let's say you overextend and you are offering a service where, maybe I'm making something up, but like you offered voice note support, and then you kind of overextend and you're not really meeting your own needs. And so when you're having that conversation with someone, it probably can feel very transactional to a person, because you might just be kind of replying because you have to. And so they're going to kind of pick up on it, because the whole system went a little bit out of alignment, with kind of not honoring your own needs, overextending the service, and then the service feels transactional, like that kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Maybe.
I'm not an expert in the Enneagram, but my memory, and I could be wrong, I think of Enneagram 2 had a little bit of this, like in its shadow, a little bit of this transactional, like I'm doing you a favor so you notice me or so you appreciate me, right? And it's yeah, like you can really feel this one. I love the way that you put that there. And yeah, when your own needs aren't being met, we get out of whack. And I'll tell you, like, it's another muscle that we really have to build, is not just meeting our own needs, but paying attention to our own needs,
Mm.
right? Just even noticing that we have needs. Many of us are really have just been trained to just do for other people. And then we end up getting resentful. And
Yeah.
when you're resentful, then yeah, you're going to be transactional. Well, I'm not going to do that for you because you're not going to do anything for me. Right. But meanwhile, we're the ones who are not really setting clear boundaries and honoring ourselves.
Mm.
Um, okay. So here's how this is one idea of how you can apply it during April 21st to the 26th and start working with that energy is reconnect to why and how you want to serve. Right. So it's, what result do you love seeing your clients get from working with you? And how do you feel when you facilitate this? Get back into the energy of why you're doing this to begin with. Because again, when business is slow, we sometimes forget, right? When we're really busy, we sometimes forget. So that's, write it down. I love seeing my clients ... And go ahead and make a list. What do you love? Like those ahas. What are the ahas they're having? And start to think about it and reconnect to that. And think about what you get when you are serving them, but you're not doing it for that reason. Right. So it's this little bit seeing it more almost again as this sacred reciprocity versus like, I have to create this change in that person, or unless they have this result, then that means something about me, or all of that transactional energy. I do just want to read because Tracy is absolutely brilliant with all of these systems. And she said, because we were talking about what order these key codes go in, she said, the numbers are in order per the I Ching sequence called sovereign hexagram and pertains to the waxing and waning of yin and yang energies. I knew there was a reason somewhere. And I'm glad that you're on the call, Tracy. I'm definitely going to want to do a little bit more research into that. But so if you're wondering, why are these key codes going in this order? That's why. It goes back to the I Ching. And Ruth said, I set up a prompt in ChatGPT to catch me when I'm thinking certain things. Ooh, that's interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, let us continue. We've got one more for this month, April 27th to May 2nd. We've got key code 24, ingenuity, sometimes called ingenuity, but I like to call it ingenuity. How do you pronounce that one, Katie?
I say ingenuity. I don't
Ingenuity.
think I've ever heard of ingenuity. I mean,
You
that sounds
haven't?
very
I
no,
heard someone say it once.
ingenuity.
I'm like, I heard someone say it once and then doubted myself for the rest of my life. Maybe they were wrong.
Maybe they were French.
Ingenuity.
It sounds French. Ingenuity. I don't know.
Maybe from the word ingenue, right?
I don't know. But in North London, we say ingenuity.
Okay, we're going with in. I mean, it's spelled in, isn't it? So ingenuity, key code 24. It is the archetype of the genius. Now, I know that one can bring up all kinds of feelings, especially if it's your primary genius. But this is really about the genius that comes from a clear, non grasping, non trying mind. Okay. So when you're in alignment, you will have that clear minded space. Sometimes I like to think of 24 is the brilliance that is birthed from the void, from that empty space, right? What comes up, if you've ever had a moment, like I'm someone when I'm driving and not thinking about something, or when I'm walking in the park, a random idea will come to me because I'm not busy thinking and trying to solve things. So that's a little bit of what this genius is. Now, the out of alignment cue is ruminating, overthinking, thinking something over, trying to figure it out, over processing, over mentally processing things that happen, which doesn't leave any space in your mind. It doesn't leave the space for the ideas to come to you. It's like you're trying to force the ideas and the answers, right? So my key to success is clearing my mind to access my brilliance. And the guiding question is, what does my clear and present mind know about this? But here's the kind of the trick. If you go, like, let's say you're going to meditate to get a clear and present mind. If you go into it searching for the answer, that's not how you get it. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit of a catch 22. You have to maybe, like, not have to, but like, I think it's helpful to maybe set an intention with open curiosity. It's like, I wonder what will come to me about, how to market my program. Right. And then you meditate, and or you clear your mind, or you soften your mind, or you go for a walk, or you do something to not be searching for that answer. And maybe an answer will come to you and maybe it won't. But if it doesn't mean now it's time to start forcing. There's deep trust that's required here. Trust in the void, trust in not knowing, trust that the answers are here. It's kind of like we're so busy looking for them that we don't see them, but they're all here. Everything we need to know is here. So we activate success by creating space for silence and for mental clarity. Again, maybe it's dance for you. Maybe it's doodling on a piece of paper. Maybe it's listening to music. It doesn't matter how you get there. Or maybe it's quiet, right? Go to a sauna. Doesn't matter how you get there. But consciously, I want you to think about this week. Look at what you can book. Can you book blank time into your schedule that week? Time to do nothing. Time to not work. Time to not try and figure things out. Right. But so we really do need to consciously create space for that. And for my friends who have key code 24 in a significant placement, especially if you've got it in your sun or your earth, right, in the success codex, that's your primary genius or your capacity, you're probably someone who wants to have some sort of doesn't have to be daily. I mean, better if it's daily practice, could be 30 seconds, whatever, but probably a few minutes where you have this built into your life all the time. That's how you're going to do your best work with the least effort. And though for all of us, right, especially when we're working with this key code, we block success by overthinking and looping in these repetitive thoughts, trying to figure it out. So when it comes to applying it, like I just said, we want to clear our mind. So at least, maybe even take out your calendar and look at April 27th to May 2nd. Think about, is there a time during the day? And you just put in a 10-minute block, right? Prioritize daily time to meditate or simply calm or rest your mind. And the less of an agenda you have during that time, the better. So again, you could set an intention maybe at the beginning of the week. By the end of this week, by the end of this transit, I'd really love to have clarity on ... And then you just meditate, and you're not looking for clarity there. You're just creating this space.
I think creating this space is the thing that I see a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
Like I live in North London. I don't go into Central London that often, but when I do, I jump on the train and then I jump on the tube. And every time, everyone is just sat there with their phone. They are watching something. They are playing a little game. They've got their headphones in. They're listening to that. It's like you can't even just sit on a train and look out the window. Everyone is constantly like filling the void. I do feel that we have kind of lost that ability to sit with our own thoughts because it can be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I think for a lot of people, this key code, it's actually prioritizing time because it becomes habit. Like I know myself, I've tried to do something and I think, right, I just need some space. And before I know it, I picked up my phone and I started scrolling. And it becomes like this unconscious thing. I'm like, what am I doing? No, I wanted to not have any more input. I wanted to not have an input. But I just find myself automatically gravitating. And so things like the walking, like you say, in the shower, or I find now I drive without putting something on.
Yeah.
Like, because my phone automatically connects to my car as I get in it, and it automatically starts playing whatever was last on my phone. And I now I'm like, no, I'm going to turn it off and I'm just going to drive, because the act of the driving keeps me occupied enough.
Yes, exactly.
And then it actually helps the thinking. But if I'm not paying attention, my phone automatically just makes stuff start playing, podcasts, and then I'm already filling my mind up. So I think this one is probably going to be a bit of a really holding this consciously to create the right conditions.
Oh, I think you bring up such a great point. I mean, we're really, really highly distracted. I mean, we're humans love to be distracted anyway, but we are in a time where we at any given moment we can consume, right? We can fill that mind up. And so, yeah, like for some of us, and maybe what I'm going to try is I'm going to put my phone in a drawer for like a few hours of the day. Right? Like if that's the thing that's so here's like, so let's kind of build on this idea. Let's innovate, let's co-create, right? So if like think about what is filling your mind and see
Yeah.
how you can plan to take a break from that, right? So if you watch TV, right, maybe you put the remote someplace that's harder for you to access, where like in a different place, so you have to think about it before you click on. If it's your phone, maybe you're putting your phone away. Maybe you put something on your lock screen that says pick me up in 5 minutes, right, or something like that, where we're just reminding ourselves that because it's a habit at this point, just like
It's
Katie.
an unconscious habit to fill the silence. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
something that actually helped me that I have like chargers in all the different rooms in my house. So obviously, as the day goes through, I've used my phone. Like towards the end of the day, I would be able to put my phone on charge, but still use it. And one of the chargers broke. And so I've only actually got like the charger really in my bedroom. So I would go and put the phone in there on charge. But now it physically means I'm not with it. So I purposefully have not bought another charger for the lounge so that I can't, I have to put my phone away and it's over there. And if I really, really, really want it, I can go and get it. But it actually is like a pattern interrupt. That I have to move to go and get it. So it makes me think, do I really want to go and get it?
Yeah. Ugh, I love it. And I'm thinking of that too. Like I had a habit. I always put my phone in airplane mode at night, but I had a habit of leaving my phone next to me. And I would wake up in the morning and I would turn it on and just, check my email and just see if any messages came through or anything. But like even just moving my phone, leaving it across the room, change the pattern of the second I wake up, I am putting something into my mind, and just gave me the space to simply just have space in my mind. And so like you guys can all hear, like, even though we're talking about like a daily practice or like clearing space, we're actually not necessarily talking about a daily practice, right? The practice might be clearing space for whatever to come through versus I'm sitting down and I'm meditating for 5 minutes. I'm not a very disciplined person with that. Like I meditate kind of throughout the day whenever, but I'm not someone who very easily can, okay, 9 a.m., you're going to close your eyes and you're going to sit very still and you're going to meditate. For me, that is not really inspiring. So we're playing with all different kinds of ways. For you, that whoever's watching, that might be it for you. You might be like, I listen to one meditation song, right? Just playing in the background and I'm just sitting. And that's my daily practice. And for others, it's like, let me just clear out the noise, like cleaning out the closet. So I love that you brought up the phone thing, right? Because we all know you can't go anywhere without people on their phones.
No, I was on a retreat the other weekend. And I deliberately wanted to leave my phone in my room, but my camera is on my phone. So it meant I wasn't taking pictures and I was outside. Whereas, like, I remember, like, 20 years ago, I had one of those little digital cameras with the little card. And so it meant, like, the camera was the camera. And I feel like I want to see if it still works so that I could actively go back to having a camera that isn't attached to my phone, because I didn't end up taking any pictures or as many pictures as I wanted because I didn't want to have my phone on me.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. Yeah,
It's
and
like,
then
I
I think
wonder
back, like
how much.
most of human history, no pictures. You just had to be present with that moment. You had to click the picture in your mind and save it that way.
Yeah.
All
Anyway.
right. So that's it for the transits for April. Sometimes we have 6, and this month we only had 5. So that's why sometimes the length of these is different. Now, I know that everyone who is here live is on Substack, but if you are watching the replay of this on something like YouTube, or for the next month or two, we're going to be putting the replay in the Facebook group. Join us on Substack, because we are moving away from we're going to transition off of Facebook. Excuse me. Though these replays will always be available on YouTube. If you want to come live, you can scan this to follow and subscribe. Actually, make sure that you subscribe. And it's free to subscribe, by the way. And that way, when we go live, you will know. Okay, I'm going to stop my share. Are we back? We're back. It's just us. Hi. Hello. And thank you, everybody, for coming. We're going to do this. We're going to continue to do this here every month. So, we try to go as early in the month as we can. If you remember that last transit, it went into May 2nd. So we'll probably meet sometime, in the beginning of May, and we'll let you know. And yeah, any last anythings?
I wasn't sure if you were going to mention the calendar.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking that. So for anyone who joins, so if you are a subscriber here and you did not get the 2026 calendar, please send me a message, because everyone who subscribes from now until Sunday will get this free digital calendar. Should I show it? I should probably show it. Yeah.
Because the calendar also has the little extra bits which tells you which center it's in, which gives you that little extra nudge of, like, kind of an extra sort of influence of the energy.
I'm actually gonna pull it up so I can just show it, just for fun, just for the last few minutes. If you already have it, you can go. And thank you, Ruth, and thank you, Tracy.
Hi, Tracy. Hi, Ruth.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what the calendar looks like. So just to kind of show you, so for each month, so on the bottom, in the Success Codex system, we use different language and kind of have a different interpretation of the human design centers. We call them the centers of success, and they fit within an ecosystem. So the calendar is color coded based on what center it's in, because that gives us a different level of insight. And you'll get a tiny description of what the key code is, and then you'll get the guiding question. And then, if you've got this calendar, let's say you want to print it out, and then you're watching these calls, you can just write your notes in this section. And it is absolutely fully printable, so you can also see kind of a little bit of the pattern of what centers are active during these months, right? Some are like really, like, look at this one. It's really heavy in the impact center or the throat center. June and July. Well, there's a lot in that one, right? So you can kind of see through, but that is completely free. If you subscribe for free to the Substack between now and Sunday. So again, if you didn't get it, please send me a message. And Tracy said a good I Ching resource is Total I Ching by Stephen Karcher, Karcher, and it's available on Internet Archive. So it's free, which is awesome. So I'll say that again, Total I Ching, or I Ching, I always call it I Ching, by Stephen, Stephen Karcher. Thank you, Tracy. Okay, my friends, have an amazing month. Reach out to us. And thank you, Katy, as always, for being my partner on this. It's always so fun. And we'll see you guys next month.
Bye.
Bye.
Let's stick this back on my wall now.
Bye.